Hello and welcome to our Insta Talk. Today we are going to talk with Peter William Holden. Just wait a second. I sent him an invitation. Okay, I can see he's online. I'm sure he will join us in a few seconds. Okay. My phone is connecting. Peter William Holden's work Concentricity is part of our show EX MACHINA at OÖ Linz. Currently we are closed, but if you haven't seen the work yet, you will have the chance to see the exhibition after the lockdown. We will certainly reopen as soon as we are allowed to do so, and the exhibition is planned to be on show until the 17th of January. Okay, I can see I couldn't reach Peter. I tried one more time. Okay.
Okay.
It is connecting. I hope now it's working. So while we wait, I can tell you a little bit about our exhibition. EX MACHINA is actually an exhibition series that is focusing on the relation or the interplay between art and machines, respectively between art and technologies. The series will show and assemble a variety of artworks at the interface of machine arts, of robotics and kinetics. And it is basically questioning the interaction of man and machine and the influence of technology on art and vice versa. Okay, I can see there is no connection with Peter. Have to restart again. Ah, hello.
Hi. I'm gonna crack up. I mean, I've got my telephone like with rubber bands on a tripod.
Okay, finally you're here. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah. So let's start again.
Okay,
Welcome to our Insta Talk. Our guest today is Peter William Holden. His work Concentricity is part of our exhibition EX MACHINA at the OÖ Kulturquartier Linz. And yes, Peter, let's start with some basics.
Okay.
You describe your work as time-based installations. They are made of computational devices, robotic elements, and they constructed to create animations. That sounds quite complex, so perhaps you could just tell us a bit more about your artwork and the way you work and what your background is.
Okay, yeah, it sounds much more complex than what it is, actually. It's like most things in life. It's an accumulation of small things, and eventually all these small things make something complex, but in reality it's not that complex. But yeah, when you first see it, maybe it's a bit shocking. But yeah, I spent well, a long time thinking about what I could do with because I like the idea of kinetic objects and machines, but I didn't want to start making like kinetic installations similar to like how artists were working in the 60s, like Gene Tingley and people like that. I wanted to try and see if I could do something different with it, and that's how I ended up slowly coming into this area of using like physical elements to make animation in real time with the computers. And for me, personally, it's a really exciting field because there's so much possibilities, and not been really explored at all. Or if people have explored it, it's only just scraping the surface of the possibilities. And as an artist, to be working in an area where there's masses of possibilities is always exciting, I think.
Yeah, okay, but working with robotic elements and things like this, for me, that sounds like rocket science. So what is your background? Why can you do that? Why are you able to work with these technologies? What's your education?
Okay, I mean, my education is so ridiculous. So,
Okay.
I mean, basically,
Jealous.
there's ironies, actually. The irony is, when I was 17, I enrolled at an art college, and I got on at art college, but my parents wouldn't support me. So I spent the next 10 years finding another way to get working in the arts. And
Okay.
basically, I ended up doing a chemistry degree, but the chemistry, yeah, it's interesting, but I didn't want to continue doing chemistry all my life. And I got really disappointed when when you get to do a second subject, and I was at university and asked if I could do sculpture as a second subject, and they just looked at me like I was insane. And
I'm
thought,
from
oh,
a
no.
mixture.
Yeah, well, that bit kind of really put me off because, I mean, there's elements in chemistry which are very sculptural, like crystals and like crystals and lattice structures, and it's really interesting stuff like that. And you would expect like a chemist or someone involved in that area to see there's a connection between sculptural, sculptural objects and chemistry, but yeah, it wasn't possible. So I quit chemistry and hanged around in the UK. I went to visit some of my friends which lived in Brighton. Originally, I come from a small town near Manchester. So what I did, I moved down to Brighton. Well, a lot of my friends were at the art university there. And I thought, oh, maybe if I go down there, maybe if I'm around my friends which are doing similar stuff, maybe I'll find a way to do something myself. But things don't always work out how you expect.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing some like part-time college courses because I knew roughly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to make like mechanical objects, or mechanical sculptures, but I had no skills in doing that. And I thought the only way I'm going to be able to do this if I learn some basic engineering. So I did some night college engineering courses where I mean, it's ironic actually. The teachers were all the time trying to scare me because they're working with machines like lathes. And at that time I had really long hair. And they were always shouting at me to tie my hair back and be careful with the machine because it's really dangerous. And they were right, actually. I mean, these machines are quite dangerous. But, when you're young, you think about stuff like that. But, yeah. So I ended up learning quite a bit of basic engineering and also like CAD, learning how to draw with CAD software and stuff like that, which is all super useful. But there's one bit I missed out actually on this story. When I was 19, before I went to do chemistry, I did fashion and textiles for a year, which is also...
Okay, you did many different things.
Yeah.
And it all adds up now
Exactly.
to what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of it all. They all look to be totally unrelated and totally useless, but every single thing is absolutely super useful for what I do. But I think times have changed a lot. I mean, basically, when I was doing all this, there wasn't like new media arts courses. It just didn't exist.
Yeah.
So there was no way to like learn these skills or join an institute and learn these skills. And yeah, so yeah, it was a bit of a improvise, find a solution. And
yeah.
there was also an element as well. When I was in Brighton, I knew, or I got introduced to a performing artist actually, and this performance artist told me about another artist who also makes kinetic objects, and they said if you want, you can go over and visit them, and maybe you might like it. Yeah. And I thought, okay, yeah, maybe I should go over. And that's how I ended up moving over to Leipzig. I ended up come in to help an artist called Jim Whiting, and basically, yeah, it was probably quite a good move for me actually, because it was also a bit like an apprenticeship, because his experience with machines and stuff is really, really good. And I don't think I would have been able to meet anyone similar with the same skill set, which could, like, you know, I mean, basically, it wasn't like a teacher. I mean, it's like working at the same time, but it was really, you know, learning a hell of a lot in a short space of time. And the nice bit was learning how to do all this in an environment where there's an exhibition happening. So it's like, go and rush around. And, you know,
Okay.
I like,
Peter,
go on.
Yeah, let's come back to that later, because I'm going to ask you about your influences, and then maybe you tell us this story. Then let's come back to your installation that is on show. Let's come back to Concentricity, which is also referring like to a natural phenomenon. It plays with the concentric circles that occur when drops fall on water. Can you tell us a little bit more about your installation? What gave you that idea? What is behind your work?
I mean, I mean, the idea is so simple.
Okay.
I mean, it's just seeing raindrops hit puddles, and you know, it's so beautiful, the ripples in a puddle. I mean, it depends on the day and the lighting, but you know, sometimes it's just amazing. It's such a simple thing, but it's also, you know, incredibly complex what's going on there. It's just, yeah, it's one of these things where it always kind of fascinated me. And well, I've seen it so many times. I mean, like everyone's seen this rain, and especially as well coming from England, you don't get many sunny days. So rains, I mean, actually the rain plays a lot of influence in my work. Some of my other pieces are rain related, but yeah, it's really, you know, I thought it'd be really nice to take these raindrops and like change them or manipulate them, so basically I can make choreography. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, ironically, maybe it could even happen in reality, but the chances are pretty low. But I mean, there might be somewhere in the world where there's, you know, rain droplets falling in a beautiful, incredibly beautiful, organized pattern for a brief second or something. But yeah, to do it myself seemed to be a nice solution to get what I wanted.
Yes, and you gave the drops the choreography they have now, and also sort of the rhythm of the sound that they make. So it's not like the natural phenomenon. It's quite what you made out of it. So
yeah, I mean that's a tricky bit actually. I mean, this is one thing I learn all the time from when I'm working with robotic stuff. How much more effective nature is. I mean, every time I start a project, you know, I think, oh, it's just a simple thing, but trying to construct something robotic which does something which happens in nature simply is really complex, and it's never quite as effectual or effective as nature, how nature does it. You know, nature's quite amazing actually. Yeah. It's, I mean, it's quite an irony. I find myself, I mean, basically, the more skills I learn and the more technique I learn, the more I realize that nature is, hey, it's much better. It's just, you know, it's really pale in comparison what people can do or humans can do. I mean, we can try, but yeah, nature's pretty much trumped us on everything.
Yeah. To come to our next question is, for me, the fascination of your work is that there is a contrast between the technical appearance of your sculptures and the really sensitive performances they create. What I mean is you don't hide the technology you use. So if you enter a room and you see a sculpture that is not in motion, the first thing you see is cables and metal and tubes and pumps, and sometimes you use these pneumatics components. So you hear the compressor running, and that has some, it has this also
Yeah.
has also a beauty, but it's cool, and it's a little uncanny always. And then in the moment the motion starts, or you turn on this machines, everything changes, and the scenery is surprisingly nice. You see the animations, you hear the sound, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel warm, and it sucks you in an immersive experience that is very sensitive. So this contrast is what I find really interesting, and what I think raises a lot of questions about the relationship between man and machine. And this is why I chose to work for this exhibition. But I know that you are very skeptic when your art is put in this art and science context, and you don't like this, thinking of new media art festivals that put together artworks based only on the technologies that were used to make it. So why is that? Can you explain your concerns with art and technologies?
Yeah, well, one of my main concerns is when I go I work at a lot of media arts festivals, and what I find is a lot of artists, they produce works which the technology is the focus point. It's kind of, I don't know, for me, it's like kind of missing the point. I mean, I don't think the technology is that important. I think the end result is really the important thing. And I don't, you know, I don't feel I need to rely on the technology in a sense. I mean, I rely more on the idea and the visual. I mean, I want to make something poetic. But back to the bit about this chaos with cables and stuff like this. I mean, this is also an element which is really important to me, because I love this idea of dualism. So like, poetic, and then this hard machine type, and these two things, because of the contrast between the two, it makes the emotional effect even stronger. Well, it's like everything, it's basically, as long as you've got a contrast to something, it really, I mean, each thing accentuates the other. And I really like this idea of duality. I mean, in one of my pieces, like Arabesque, it's like made of kind of chopped up body parts made out of polyester resin and stuff. And the thing itself is like a Frankenstein's monster. I mean, it's not, I mean, I wouldn't say aesthetically it's super aesthetic, but at the same time, once it starts moving and making the patterns, it becomes really beautiful. And I like this idea, beauty isn't something that, is like this cliched, textbook of, I don't know, or this, oh God, I can't say it, I can't find the words, but this cliche of what beauty is set in, like a set narrow stream, and like beauty, something beautiful can, be ugly, but, within that ugliness, there is an incredible beauty.
Yeah.
And I think most the world's view of beauty is very skew with to like one aesthetic. And it's much more interesting to try and like, go away from that and like open up possibilities of what else is beautiful. And, does the world need to be so simplistic? Can we make this boundaries wider? Or I don't know. I can't really explain it so good, yeah. But I'm really interested in the idea of, trying to give people a different perspective of what is a beautiful experience, or what beautiful can be. And it's really interesting, I think, to try and do that, because the world we have at the moment is, I mean, it's so well, like the commercial world of design and media is it's so perfect. If you look at like stuff like TV adverts and, magazines and things like this, it's really super well produced, and it's you could say it's nearly perfect. People have found perfect solutions for marketing and stuff like that. And the entire media we get bombarded with is all in this vein. And it's not the only thing which is interesting. There's a total opposite world, and you know, maybe it's nice when artists can like get people over to look at this other side and, you know, see the massive potential away from that cliched, beautiful element. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
I do something.
and I think I understand what you mean. Sometimes the beauty doesn't lie in perfection. It's not. It's sometimes
Yeah,
it's the opposite, and sometimes it's the ugly that is beautiful or that is interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's what I like. I mean, when something's too perfect, I
yeah.
don't know. It
It's
doesn't seem to have
uncanny if it's too
soul.
perfect.
Yeah, and that's also a thing. Actually, it's nice to see. I mean, I think I notice this a lot. Like artists who work with their materials, because if you work with, I mean, if you're an artist working with materials yourself, I mean, it's kind of a compromise with the skills and stuff. It's the artist. I mean, like say for me, I'm just talking about myself here. I'm not the best maker, so I have to compromise with the general presentation. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I think it's much better to have something which is really individualistic or fits to a person themselves, rather than something which is generic, which looks like it's been produced in a factory. Because, I mean, we're living in a world where pretty much most of the stuff around us is pretty much generic. Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's, you know, maybe it should be, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just my feeling. Maybe the art world should be more away from this, because the normality is generic and what art can offer is something different. But who knows? I mean, I'm not sure.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're right. So,
Well,
um, but it leads us to another question. So, do you see your work in any tradition? So what's your affinities? Or what's your influences?
okay. I mean, this is yeah, I see myself really as a sculptor, or a sculptor stroke filmmaker or animator. And I see myself, I'm pretty traditional in that sense. Yeah. I mean, I don't really see myself, I mean, yeah, I'm always pigeonholed into this new media area, but I don't really see that so much. I think I'm just using, yeah, using the materials which are available to me at the time, or the technologies which are available, and trying to find some way to express what I want to communicate, but difficult.
No, it's okay. Let's go on. Yeah, the reason why we are talking today online is the COVID situation. We are in a second lockdown in Austria at the moment, and museums and museum people are forced to find new solutions to reach out to the people and to we need to rethink our traditional exhibition formats and things like that. And this is a big challenge, but also it's kind of chance. There are many things I think that we will adapt for the future also after the pandemic. And my question is, does COVID influence your art, the way you work, or do you adapt to the situation? And I know that it's very difficult for artists, but can you see any chance in this pandemic? Any positive sides?
Yeah, the virus being a vaccine for it already. So, I mean, that's the positive side, I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully by this time next year, we don't even need to think about it anymore. I mean, yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, it has been a year where it's the kind of a year of contemplation. Yeah, there's been lots of times, I think, for everyone where, you know, you're stuck at home, you're not being able to go out. So maybe it's good. People get a bit of a time to think. And most of the time, you know, we're all running along in this modern world, and we never really take much time to sit down and think about what we're doing or where we're going. And maybe it's been a good year for that for everyone. But yeah, at the same time, you know, it's better that the thing comes to an end, yeah, because
Of course,
yeah,
of course it
and
is.
I think, yeah, I mean, the nice bit is science is probably going to save our butts.
We hope so.
Yeah,
We
I
hope so
really hope
this
so.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We also hope that we will reopen again soon. That
yeah,
means that your exhibition will be open soon too, and people will have the chance to experience your installation. We hope that will be in a
yeah,
couple of weeks. And yeah, I personally think that it's very important that there is a place where you can go and experience art with all your senses, physically, not only online.
yeah,
But yeah, we will see.
yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, maybe this is also an element which, you know, maybe people have realized how important social interactions are, you know.
Mm.
Normally, normally you don't really have that thing where everyone's isolated all at the same time, or a little bit isolated. And could be next year could be the biggest party ever.
Yeah.
It could be brilliant.
Yeah, that's a really good last sentence for our interview, I think. So let's hope
Yeah.
for the party next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's already looking. Sorry, it's already looking positive already. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Peter. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the interview.
Hey,
It was a pleasure to talk to you, like always.
okay.
Take care, and we will see you next year with
Okay.
dismantling and have a party.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
so
I'm looking forward to being out in Linz again. It's really
yeah,
nice.
yeah, will be
Yeah.
nice. So also thank you to all the people that joined us today, and I say goodbye. Thank you, and stay
Yeah, thank
tuned.
you for everyone who joined as well. Yeah.
Stay tuned. You know we
Okay.
are open online, so follow us on social media, and see you. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye bye.